of Lake Mary Toastmaster Club 6440 to order. Before we proceed with the meeting, please silence your cell phone. I would like to ask everyone to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Our club mission is to provide a supportive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. And with that said, please help me welcome our Toastmaster of the Day, Mike Hughes.
Good morning, everybody. Is everybody doing well? Yes, I want to thank you first for coming. But we, as you can tell, have a very busy schedule. Today's theme is Evaluate the Evaluators. We have a full room, so this is going to happen a little quicker than normal. So I'm going to start with the technical table with the grammarian, Alexandra.
Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. As grammarian, it is my role to select a word of the day to help build members' vocabularies. Each member, when called upon to speak, is encouraged to use the word of the day. Other members may gently rap on the table when they hear a member use a word, and the word of the day is alacrity. Did I pronounce it correctly? Alacrity. Alacrity.
It's your word.
It is. Do that. Definition: cheerful willingness or eagerness. Example: the holiday party invitation was accepted with alacrity. I really hope that all Toastmasters today accept this word of the day with alacrity. Thank you.
Continuing on with our awe counter, Jorge, please.
Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. As awe counter, it is my function to listen for the use of filler words, such as you know, so, okay, and other audible pauses as fillers. I'll be noting if members perform any double clutches, which means to say things twice, such as this means, or and. Finally, I'll also include the things which might be distracting, such as lip smacks and tongue clicks. There'll be 5 cents per infraction, except for the 2 icebreakers we have today. Those will be excluded from being penalized. And I will give my report at the end of the meeting with much alacrity.
Now to introduce the next person with alacrity, who's my favorite timer, Gary Bird.
My function is to time the speakers, evaluators, and typically table topics, but we do not have those today. And to ensure that the meeting is kept on time. For the speakers today, you'll see a green card at 5 minutes, yellow at 6, red at, no, it's 4, 5, and 6. For the, sorry, for the icebreakers are 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and 6 minutes. And then for Ernst, you have 8 to 10, so you'll see the green card at 8, yellow at 9, red card at 10. And all of the evaluators today will see the green card at 2 minutes, the yellow card at 2.5 minutes, and the red card at 3 minutes. And I'll give my report at the end.
Evaluate the evaluators. Today is that day you gotta look hard at each other and say, how can I fix them?
Got a chance.
Without further ado, I'm going to start with our first icebreaker. Jeff is coming to us from a long history of wonderful people. Jeff, I want you to tell us about our history. With his first icebreaker, Jeff.
Toastmaster. I wish I could tell you I was here with a lot more alacrity than I thought it would be, but I also regret to inform that my first speech will probably be my last here at the Lake Mary Toastmasters. There's a good reason for that, though, is because I was just recently was offered a job with Orange County Public Schools working with a special needs program. I have a history with that as far as how I started doing that kind of work, and I'll start first of all by telling you a little bit more about me. I was born and raised here in Central Florida. I'm a native. I hear that's very rare nowadays. I'm from a family of 4 siblings. I'm the third of 4. I have 2 brothers, 1 sister, and my parents have been married for 48 years, and they're still currently married today. How I got started working with special needs kids, it goes back about 12 years ago. I started dating a girl, one of my first long-term relationships, and she had a younger brother who was 8 at the time who had Down syndrome. Now before this, I never had any experience with any other kind of disability or special needs or anything of that nature, but I slowly learned to love and watched him grow up for about 6 years, and felt somewhere in my heart that I had some kind of place with this community. I never thought I would ever, and anyway, after that relationship ended, so did that relationship with the boy, but we did keep in touch, and in fact, this past year I actually watched him graduate from his high school. Now, when you have special needs, they let you stay in school till like 22, I think it is, but anyway, I got the joy to see him graduate with a cap and gown, and it was pretty amazing. In that time period since I started dating her, I had many different jobs. To start with, we had a family business, a painting company. We did commercial, residential painting. We did painting for SeaWorld and Disney and Universal, and that's the direction I thought my career and my life was heading in. And I was making great money at the time, but kind of wasn't really satisfied. It seemed like it was more work, and I had sleepless nights, and I was making a lot of great money, but I slowly learned that that's not everything. About the time the recession hit, that business took a dive. So at that point, I had a lot of money saved up and all, and I stumbled across a group, a special needs group in Altamont Springs, Florida. I had the day off in the middle of the week one day, and I went to the bowling alley. At the bowling alley, I seen this group of at least 50 special needs kids, and I instantly decided that I have all this spare time. I think I want to get involved. So I met the girl in charge, and sure enough, I did get involved and slowly began to involve myself, first of all, with the Special Olympics bowling. And from there, it went on to doing every dance and field trip, and we did winter and summer camps and stuff like that. So I found myself volunteering more than I was working for a couple of years, but it was definitely a beautiful life experience, and I never slept any as well as I did in that time period, and still today. So from that experience, I encountered different contacts and wound up getting a job as a caregiver slash companion. I've been doing that for the last 2.5 years. What it is, each day I have an individual who I would work with. They all varied in their handicaps. They were from Down syndrome, and one particular guy that I worked with was a 24-hour shift. He had an eating disorder, and it's called Prader-Willi syndrome. He was the type of guy that could eat and eat and eat, and he'll never know that he was full. And he didn't feel pain, and so he had to have 24-hour care. So on Wednesdays, I would stay with him from 8 in the morning till 8 the next day, and I would prepare all his meals and do everything with him. One of our main events that we would do every day is go to the YMCA for 2 hours. We used to play basketball with him and just work out, cardio. I trained him on the weights, and the time I worked with him, he lost about 100 pounds, so it was very gratifying in that area. The other 3 guys I worked with were mostly Down syndrome. Yeah, they were all Down syndrome guys, and you'd be surprised until you actually get to meet these guys how much they're capable of, and they all seem to have one area where they're very strong and very, like most of them have an amazing memory. If you tell them something, they'll remind you 5 years later. Well, anyway, that led to where I am now today. I did go to college and got a degree, and I never used a degree for many, many years, but just having that degree opened up the doors for me to get a job at Orange County Public School, which I am starting the training, I believe, tomorrow. So I'm going to try to see if I can find another Toastmaster to get involved with, maybe in the evening or in an area near the school so I can fit it in on my time. But regretfully, that's my reason. I won't, I'll try to squeeze in here when I can. I don't think I can even do that. But just thank you for being with me for these last few weeks. I mean, for it's been a month now, probably. Just thank you for your time, and I enjoyed watching each of you do your speeches, and I really enjoy the camaraderie between everybody, and I'm going to definitely regretfully miss it. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Can we on the counter the timer? Can we get 1 minute? And guess in that time what we're doing is filling out the evaluation, so you guys are here.
It's like competent leadership. So your facility, is this the only one now?
Yeah.
I'll find it. Does anybody have an extra competent? Yes, I need the evaluator. I know, but I need the bullets on what to look for, so I can give them the right.
Ernst will hand it over.
Number 7. How in the world did you get this? You're like a genius. Where is this hidden?
Oh, is that the, yes, I have one of those too.
What is that? Where is it? Number 7?
All right, enough promotion. So,
And I need this.
Yeah, I think
I'm in charge. Excuse me. So, continuing on with our next icebreaker, Jeff has come to us just from the Barney Studios, and he's doing very, very well. If I can introduce our next speaker with this icebreaker, what's that?
Rich.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I read poorly. So, with much alacrity. Allow me to introduce Rich.
There you go. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow members, guests, who am I? Who's Rich Massa? Well, before I start, let me tell you that today's topic may be a little controversial and unusual. So please do not judge the things that you hear today based on the Rich Massa you see before you, but as my story as it unfolds. Can we agree on that? Thank you. I want to start off by saying my past is not who I am what I do. I just want to make that clear by saying it one more time. My past is not who I am what I do. Because my life is very unusual and it's very different. So I want you to, I want to be very vulnerable today, and I want to open up with who I am in my journey. And then that way, through my dream is to be a speaker, and I want to be evaluated among my peers. So I want to tell you who I am now. Right now, I am the owner of iBootcamp. I own a fitness program. I am the leader. I also do direct sales with Advocare. I am a Buddhist, and I'm a man driven with purpose. But how did I get here today? Well, I know you see this good-looking, charming, athletic guy in front of you. But I grew up in Jersey City, New Jersey as the short, chubby Jehovah's Witness in the ghetto. If you've ever seen the gangs and graffitis and knives and like West Side Story, that's where I grew up. So if you can picture a shy, short, chubby version of myself amongst gangs, amongst a very diverse ethnic community, that was me. And I got made fun of a lot when I was a Jehovah's Witness. I remember very vividly when I was in school, I did not pledge allegiance to the flag, I didn't celebrate Christmas, so I was always very different. But that, again, made me who I am now. Another thing very substantial that happened to me was that my dad bought my first weight set. And I want you to picture that chubby kid going down to the basement. It was a cement and weight set, and he puts his hands on the bench, and it was like electricity hit my body. I knew my life was never going to be the same. And I want to fast forward through some of the events of my life so you can get to the meat of why I want to speak today. Because I know I only have 6 minutes. I'm Italian, and I'm from Jersey, and I talk a lot. So that was the first major event of my life. In that time of me working out and learning of how to build my body, I became very arrogant. In my 20s, I had the 3 dream jobs a guy in his 20s could have. I started off working at GNC, but then I became a DJ and motivational dancer. My job was to get people dancing at weddings and sweet 16s. I decided then to move to, my parents moved to Florida when I was 19. I decided to follow them. I was tired of working for a DJ company, and I decided, this is where the controversial part comes up. Does anybody, by show of hands, who remembers the AOL chat rooms? Raise your hands with me. Okay. Well, someone asked me if I was a Suncoast calendar man, and this is where the controversy comes up. Suncoast calendar man, I was a male entertainer for 5 years. So when everybody else was getting their bachelor's degree, that I was doing what male dancers do. Now, this is why I'm not exactly scared to talk in front of people. Now, this is where I ask you not to be judgmental, because a lot of people have a stereotype, but that was, guys, we had a full production studio, we had acting coaches, we had five of my best friends traveling on the road, all up and down Florida, South Carolina. It was literally the best time of my life. But when, then my next job after that, I was a bartender. So it wasn't exactly much different, and my girlfriend at the time was a Hawaiian tropic model. So life at that time was great. But when you become arrogant, and you become a little bit shallow, I'm going to have to go past that card. You're going to have to give me about 30 more seconds. Life tends to knock you off the high horse, and that happened on September 22nd, 2003, when I got hit head-on by a drunk driver. I got I just want to show you this. This used to be very hard for me to show. It broke my tibia and fibula. It broke my femur, the strongest bone in your body, and it broke my arm. So that put a strain on my marriage. I got divorced. I moved here about 6.5 years ago, and I decided to reinvent myself. In that time of reinventing myself, about 18 months ago, I got into an emotional relationship with a married woman. Now, nothing physical happened, but I said, you know, I've been through all these struggles, and I asked what you would call God or the universe. I said, you know, there's only one reason why this would happen. It's either A, this is a cruel joke, or B, I'm groomed to be something greater than this. And I chose B. So I decided I'm going to use these skills that I've developed through the years to help inspire other people to be great. One of my favorite poems is, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate, our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And I decided I had enough 18 months ago. I want to use my story to inspire others. I can't help other people, but I can inspire to draw greatness out of themselves. So I decided to start this boot camp and use it as a platform to overcome their fears, overcome the struggles that they have. I decided to become a leader and advocate to help people get better finances and have my life worth meaning, instead of being that shallow person that I was 6.5 years ago. I decided to use my struggles and use those skills that I've grown to help others people draw out their greatness. I wanted to become a man of purpose. So who is Rich Massa? Am I the short chubby kid? Am I that arrogant guy that used to dance on stage? Or am I the leader I am today? Well, I'm all of them. So I want to thank you guys for letting me share my journey with you. I'm humbled by this experience, and hopefully today you're going to help me increase the skill set and have the dream of having a family again, having a house. And if you know anybody single, send them my way. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Well, that was different. Outstanding job. So, without further ado. Oh, excuse me, 1 minute. 1 minute to fill in your evaluations.
Yeah, I am what I do. Thank you. Are you doing us first?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Start going away.
All right, so, next man needs no introduction. Speaking on man-made global warming is a hoax, and the only man-made thing is a story. I'd like to present Ernst.
Good morning, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and of course, honored guests. I will be speaking from the Competent Communicators Manual, subject number 7. Research your topic. The objective is to find information about your topic from various sources. Carefully select your points and opinion from relevant facts and find information, and examples and illustrations should be based on research. The topic of my speech today is man-made global warming is a hoax, and the only thing man-made about it is actually the story. So hopefully you'll accept my speech with alacrity. My speech will not focus on proving or disproving this scientific data about man-made global warming, because quite honestly, I'm not qualified for doing this. And if I was to try to do that, I would possibly still be here upon the dawn of the new Ice Age. However, my speech will focus on the common sense approach and the natural process of climate change, and we will soon hear that the man-made global warming hysteria is such as the inconvenient truth or the day after tomorrow is nothing more than a way to make money for a select few based on fear. They're withholding the truth, they're blocking the facts, because the facts do not sell books, nor they sell movie tickets, nor do they garner huge speaking fees, and certainly it's the truth to not make certain people incredibly rich. Mike Hughes said it best when he evaluated Miguel. Where's Miguel not here today? Speech about going to Brazil and the negative news preceding the World Cup Olympics. Oh, there it is, I'm sorry. And he said it best. Bad news sells, good news does not. My speech could be construed as a political statement, because certainly this subject is widely discussed on all levels all over the world. And it is making a lot of people incredibly rich, such as snake oil salesman and quackery disseminator Al Gore. These people use all the means possible to protect their income and wealth, much like the mafia does in New York City, protecting their income by all means. Much what we do in this world, ladies and gentlemen, is to increase business and revenues. And scientists are hired by companies. Some work for themselves to get grants, some work for the government. And what companies do, they need to get more money next year and next year and next year. And they have long figured out that a man-made global warming hoax is a money dog which keeps on hunting. In business we say it's a cash cow. Right, Jorge? That's right. And the truth is a money dog which doesn't hunt. Now, I strongly believe, and this is my opinion, that there is global warming or global change, climate change. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, sometimes it doesn't exist. And I firmly believe also that it is not man-made. I'm 100% convinced, and I agree, that we need to clean up our planet, our earth, water, and air. for our future generation. Who wants to live in filth anyways? Who wants to live in China in some places where you have to use a breathing mask to just go outside and you can't see the sun during the day? As bad as this is, it has nothing to do with global warming. So why am I so against the global warming rhetoric? Because it's not logical that global warming, and right now there is none, and if there was, it is certainly not caused by man, and I will prove you that it's not man. Logic will say it's not made by man. Let me show you a couple of pictures. Time is moving here. This was the Earth 4.5 billion years ago. And this also 4.5 million years ago. I grant you this is a drawing. It is not made by satellite. You won the argument. This is a recent picture. I don't know, 2 years, 5 years, totally different. This was caused by climate change. It's called climate cooling. And if I was to show you a picture of the Earth 4.5 billion years from now, we could possibly entering or exiting an ice age. Now let me give you some scientific facts. According to SolarSystemCentral.com, the Earth was created 4.5 billion years ago. At the time it was 1,800 degrees hot, and lava was flowing all over the place. We all agree that today the Earth is much cooler. Now there's some places where it's 130 degrees hot, and there's some places where it's 50 below zero Fahrenheit all year long. According to a government website called climate.gov, there was an article posted last year in November, not too long ago, why the planet's surface has not increased in heat over the last decade. And let me read you this real fast to make sure I don't make any mistakes. The most likely explanation for the lack of significant warming at the Earth's surface in the past decade or so is that a natural climate cycle, a series of La Nina events in the negative phase of the lesser-known Pacific Decadal Oscillation, caused shift in the ocean circulation pattern that moved some excessive heat into the deep ocean. Even though recent years has been the pause in global warming observed since 2000, followed by a period of rapid acceleration in the late 20th century. Starting in the mid-1970s, global temperatures rose 0.5 degrees over a period of 25 years. Since the turn of the century, however, the change of Earth's global mean surface temperature has been close to zero. We all know the Sahara Desert. The Sahara Desert is the largest desert in the world. You can put the United States in there several times. And according to Astrobiology magazine, it used to be a beautiful area, lush with grass and water and rivers and lakes. And it's widely believed that the Sahara Desert was turned into a desert by a slight shift in the Earth orbit, which caused a lessening of the solar shield and caused electromagnetic pulses hit that part of the world and caused the drying of that part of the world. And number 5, according to climate scientist Gavin Smith of the NASA Goddard Institute for Space Science, according to science, about 8,500 years ago, the Earth axis changed from a 24.1 degree to a 25.3 degrees. That shift in Earth atmosphere has a major impact on the climatic changes of the Earth. Now I've said to you that I will talk to you about common sense approach. According to the late George Carlin, everybody knows George Carlin, he's not a scientist, but he has a lot of common sense. He said about climate change, ladies and gentlemen, the Earth is just great, the Earth is just fine. It's the people who are, sorry to say, effed up. Think about it. The Earth has been around for 4.5 billion years. We have been industrialized for 200. It's a nanosecond in the relative age of the Earth. and we think that we can screw up a planet which has been around for 4.5 billion years in just 200 years. We gotta be crazy. Climate change, he said, yes, caused by volcanic eruption above the earth and under the earth. Where the massive ocean plates hit each other, you have huge volcanic eruption underneath the water, which causes a change of water temperatures to heat up. Water circulates and causes the La Nina effects, which we then cause the melting of the ice shield in certain parts of the world. Also, the sun is the largest, the sun is 1.3 million times as large as the earth. 1.3 million times. They're the major cause of climate change. If it wasn't for the sun, there would be no climate on the earth. And according to Caltech EDU, the sun is 10,000 degrees hot. About 2 years ago, according to Scientific Magazine, there were major sun flares outbursts. If it had hit the earth, it would have knocked us back to the Stone Ages and caused $2 trillion worth of damages. Now let me show you some pictures here. This is a sunburst of solar flares, which goes down millions of miles. This, I'm sure you never saw it, is the sun. This is the earth. I brought this ball along for one reason. I want you to see this so we always remember the story I spoke. This is the, oops. This is the sun. This is the earth. Okay? Can you see and understand that having a 10,000 degree behemoth sitting next to this little earth, that they're the major component of climate change? Mr. Toastmaster.
Wow. Oh, okay. Can I get 1 minute on the clock, please? Ernst, thank you. Wow. Ernst, thank you for that. That was very interesting. Some of us have had that same thought. It was like, how are we supposed to change everything in such a small amount of time? Now we're going to completely shift gears. We're going to start evaluating the evaluators. So, without further ado, allow me to introduce Steve Morian, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mike. He had the easy job this morning. The concept of the Evaluate the Evaluators meeting is related in part because we're going to have in 2 weeks the evaluation contest, along with our humorous speech contest. To help prepare for that contest, and every member of the club is eligible, here's an opportunity to see how the judges are going to be judging those evaluators at the contest. And in front of you, you will have judges' guides and ballots that the judges themselves will be using at the contest. When those evaluators get up to evaluate the test speech, this is what the judges are asked to evaluate the evaluators on. On the reverse side of the sheet, you will see a description of each of those judging criteria. We often have explained to our evaluators the way you want to do an evaluation is to give suggestions for improvement and encouragement so that the speaker will want to get up and give another speech. The whole point is we're here to improve, and we want people to improve. So how this works, each of our speakers today has an evaluator as assigned on the agenda, as we normally do in the meeting. Each of those evaluators has an evaluator. And I've simply provided to them the judges' ballots that they can use if they wish to describe and evaluate the evaluations they're about to see. You are perfectly welcome to provide your own feedback using the informal evaluation forms as well. And all feedback is certainly perfectly welcome. I'll be doing my part in the general evaluation, but not going too heavy into the first round of evaluators at all, since the second round of evaluators will be doing that as it is. And for the rest of you, you get to breathe a sigh of relief. No table topics are being asked today. Therefore, we shall move into the first round of evaluations. And our first evaluator, evaluating the Icebreaker from Jeff Paderaki, please welcome Diane Manikowski.
Master Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially Jeff. It is with great alacrity and honor that I am here to evaluate your first Icebreaker, because not too long ago, I was doing the same thing. Your goals today were to get up and speak in front of an audience and to figure out what your best and most important elements that you already possess are. And I found that you have a lot of skills that you don't know about. So I appreciated the fact that you were able to connect with the audience immediately. You had a lot of connection, a lot of emotion and sincerity. You had a clear speech, you're very audible. Unfortunately, I was in the back, and I would like to have had just a little bit more volume, because sometimes when the room gets full, it's tough to hear people in the back. I loved that you had a lot of stories in your evolution of yourself, and you gave all of that to us, and it was really warming to know how you developed and how you progressed. I wish you would have given us some names on those stories so that we could have connected. We would have had a relationship with your relationships, and it would have helped us connect even further. I know you spoke from the heart. You had great eye contact with a lot of people. I know you were nervous. I think possibly what made you nervous was that at the very beginning you had to announce that you're leaving. And that probably got you really nervous. I noticed that throughout the speech, though, you became much more relaxed, and you did a great job. I think, like I said, if you had added some names, that would have helped, but also in your stories, possibly a little more organization, just a little more conciseness, and I think it would have been just right on the money. But I think that you did a great job. I loved your evolution. I loved that I felt a connection, because I have gone through similar things in my life. And I want you to know that you're on the right path, and you will be sorely missed here. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Our second evaluator this morning, evaluating Rich Massa's Icebreaker, please welcome Martin Bell.
Who is Rich Massa? I think it's safe to say that each of us got to learn a little bit more about Rich than we would have probably expected this morning. Rich, you have great presence, great confidence, I believe a loud voice, and you as well, as Jeff spoke from the heart, and you drew us all in. I think those are great attributes in your first speech. I also think we each enjoyed your humor on a couple of examples relating personal stories, yet allowing us to connect in a humorous and positive way, really added to the speech. If I could think of perhaps one or two things that you might want to consider, I feel that when explaining these type of negative events, which got in a car accident, you broke your leg, you might want to vary the pitch, because we're going from very positive events in a very up way, but then you have these lows in your life, and perhaps to connect more, you might want to vary the pitch, perhaps pause. But other than that, I thought it was a terrific speech to bring us in, to tell us more than we could have ever expected. Is always a delight, and we're thrilled, and I'm waiting to be thrilled once again with your next speech. So great job.
And then evaluating Ernst's speech. Please welcome Erika. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests, and especially Ernst. What a controversial topic that I have to evaluate this morning. You came prepared, you came early, you had your supportive visual aids ready. You surprised me with the ball. The whole meeting I was wondering why the ball was there. However, you were speaking from project researcher topic. And although your presence was very well made, your introduction, establishing that you had no knowledge, a suggestion would be to inform the audience why you chose that topic. You mentioned that you thought it was a hoax. However, because the project was research your topic, versus convincing us why your analogy is that it's a hoax. Suggestions to have started a little differently would be to use your own personal experience on your travels. I know you're a very well educated and well-traveled man. Reference any articles that you see in general public that have either pros and cons. Having been a judge for several debate competitions, this is a very hot topic and can go in either direction, because in competitions you have to convince both sides. So there's two sides to every coin. Fantastic eye contact. He could convince me to do anything. He could convince me to pick up my dog's poop and why it's affecting global warming, because your presence is so strong and your pitch and your voice, something that I admire. You use statistics, you reference 2 websites to support your side of the coin, and some other suggestions would be to use what I call layman terms. Layman terms is something that I learned once from a judge, and that is to take out the jargon, any words that only people who are more scientifically inclined would know, and keep it simple so that anyone, such as our youth or someone maybe not as educated on the topic, can follow you along each step of the way. Another suggestion would be to pick 3 reasons as to why you think it's a hoax, and only reference quotes and articles to support those 3 reasons. Overall, your body language was phenomenal. Your pauses helped make the speech more impactful, and I can't wait to hear your next speech. Thank you very much.
Now that we've heard the evaluation of the speeches, we're asking the next evaluators to evaluate the evaluations. Beginning with an evaluation of Diane's evaluation. Please welcome Paul Walsh.
Good morning. Well, that's quick turnaround time. But to evaluate Diane's great evaluation of Jeff's Icebreaker, first off, they were awesome speeches this morning. So glad to be here and have heard all those. And for everyone, as he said, there's this ballot, which I'm not as familiar with as probably some people, but there are 4 sections: analytical quality, recommendations, technique, and summation. And for analytical quality, it talks about strengths and weaknesses, and she did go over some of his strengths, talking about his eye contact and talked about how that was really good, and then some of his weaknesses, talking about the volume of his voice. And so I thought she covered those areas. The next area was recommendations. She recommended that he add names to his speech to give it more familiarity. and also maybe adding a little more organization. So she covered that area. Then the next section of the evaluation is technique, and on just her overall technique. And I thought she herself had good eye contact and also a good volume. You could hear her in the back of the room. Then at the end, it's just kind of how her summation is the last section. And she did end on a positive. She talked about the great evolution and the stories. And so overall, I thought she did a really good evaluation. My one recommendation might be to look at it as a speech, where starting off with a real attention getter, even though it's an evaluation, it's a chance to speak yourself. And so start off with a great attention getter, and then also try to end with a bang and just really leave everyone feeling like the evaluation itself is a speech. And I think that's something a lot of people just read out of go through the motions and don't think of it as a speech. But overall, I thought you did a really good job, and I'm glad I came this morning. Thank you.
Evaluating the evaluation of Martin Bell, please welcome Gus Davies.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, guest, and Martin. You did a great job when you got here to give the evaluation of the speech that Rich had given. You started off clearly with a question and your question was, now we know who Rich is. The question was, who is Rich? And you answered the question. So that was a positive for us to be able to know that you were listening to the speech that he was given. You are very clear to tell them about his voice. His voice, you commended him on his voice, that his voice filled the room. Everyone could hear him, and you told Martin that. You also told him about the show and tell. When he was talking about the accident he had, you talked about what Martin had done, that he showed the scars on his feet. So you were very precise, specific. As you were telling those, and I'm evaluating you, I could feel that you were really listening, and I can tell that you paid attention to the details he had. You gave him the example that if he has to make any recommendation, you gave him the one recommendation, how he will have to slow down a little bit, lots of excitement and rage, and we all can tell that. A personal experience is outside this room. And you're able to tell him that. By telling him that, he's able to balance that with the enthusiasm and the zeal that he had. You use the technique that all of us are encouraged to use in evaluating a speaker. That is, you tell them what they've done very well, and you talk about what's the recommendation that you have, the minus, what they can work on, because we're here to improve ourselves, and then you give them a high commendation. In summary, you're really going to be developing as a great evaluator of a speech. The speech that people give, so that they can receive feedback, we can grow and we can learn. For me, there was a learning in your evaluation of Rich this morning. I understood that. I learned that you have to listen very well, you have to find the positive, and then you make a recommendation what to improve, and you end up with a bang. So thank you very much, Martin, for doing that, Mr. General Evaluator.
And evaluating the evaluation by Erika Benfield, please welcome Stephany Bonnie-Burke.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and Erika. It was very apparent from the beginning that Erika paid great attention to the speaker. She actually observed something that many of us may not have, and the introduction. And she pointed out to him how he could have better introduced his topic, saying that because you stated that I don't have personal knowledge, but she gave that recommendation. She also noted that he was prepared early with visual aids, that he made great eye contact, that this man could sell us on anything, right? She noted his great presence. Then she went to give recommendations, and she had quite a few very pointed ones. Besides the introduction, she also noted what the objectives were. And it was to present research and not necessarily to convince us of something. Good, strong suggestions. Use layman's terms. Eliminate the jargon. What she did was the sandwich technique. She employed that. And in her summation, she commented on his great body language and the effective use of pauses. When I looked at the judging criteria sheet and the analytical, the recommendations and everything, and if I had been judging this, I would have given this a score between 93 and 95 out of 100, which means that it was near textbook, almost perfect, just about. So just keep at it, Miss Erika Benfield. Thank you very much.
I'll say I'm grateful for the alacrity everyone showed in engaging in this exercise this morning. I hope you found it useful. I'm going to ask now for our technical table reports, beginning first with our timer, which had a bit of a job to do this morning. Very nice to do.
Jeff is at, he had 4 to 6 minutes, he was at 5:51. Rich had 4 to 6 minutes, he was at 6:35. Ernst, I believe that speech is 5 to 7 on the...
8 to 10.
The project recommendation
Project
is 5 to
is 5 to
7. He asked
7,
for
he
8 to
had
10.
8 to 10, and he was at 11:13. Diane, all the evaluators had 2 to 3 minutes. Diane was at 2 minutes 12 seconds. Martin 1 minute 25 seconds. Erika 2 minutes 47 seconds. Paul 2 minutes 8 seconds. Gus 2 minutes 24 seconds, and Stephany 1 minute 50 seconds.
Our odd counter, Jorge, how much are we making this morning?
Two of them are icebreakers, so not too much. I just had it on. Jeff, we had 7 ums, 1 light, 2 ands, 2 tongue clicks, 3 pauses, a double clutch, and one thing that I noticed is you said anyways 3 times, so just watch out for that one. Rich, 11 uhs, 3 ums, 1 so, 1 tongue click, 1 pause, and 5 double clutches, but as we talked, the rate of those uhs really went down as you got into the speech. They were more concentrated at the start. Ernst, 3 uhs, 1 and, 1 pause, 3 double clutches. Diane, 1 1 pause, 4 double clutches. Martin, 1 1 double clutch. Erika, 1 pause, 1 double clutch. Paul, 1 1 you know, 1 but, 1 tongue click, 2 double clutches. Gus, 1 1 you know, 1 so, 1 double clutch. And Stephany, 1 pause. And me, 2 uhs.
And Dr. Mary and Alexandra, how do we do with English this morning?
Thank you. And these are the people who use the word of the day, alacrity. And those are me, huh? Jorge, Mike used the word twice. Ernst used the word. Diane used the word. Stephen used the word. I'm missing someone? You use the word? Okay, Jeff used the word. For the ones who didn't use the word, how much? 25 cents. 25 cents.
You got it.
And we need to pay that to Diane. The colorful phrases that again, the meeting today was amazing, but this is what I really, really loved the most are the following sentences throughout the whole meeting. Jeff, that business took a dive. I like that one. Rich, seriously, I'm in love with this one. My past is know who I am what I do. Did I say that correctly? And then Martin, when he evaluated Rich, he kind of, like Gus mentioned, it was like the question, it was like perfectly thinking, who is Rich Master? Erika, that was so colorful. That Ernst is so convincing that he convinced you, or he could convince you to pick up your dog's doo-doo. And last but not least, Ernst, bad news sells, good news doesn't. Thank you.
As general evaluator for an evaluation of the meeting as a whole, seemed to go quite smoothly. Everything was ready and on time, and everyone is here for their roles, though a few of you were coming in right at the buzzer. This was Mike's first time as Toastmaster, and he was saying, thank you for those of you who did confirm, and we were able to have everything prepared on time. It's nice to not have to change the agenda. It was, Mike jumped right in at the beginning, knowing we had our time constraints. That worked out very well, and he even pulled out the gavel when we got out of hand. Perfectly acceptable. On the handoffs at the lectern, just so you know, general protocol, keep applauding until the person has actually gotten to the lectern and the handoff is made. When you are the one leaving, you should be passing behind the person who's coming in. That's just, they're the ones who are supposed to have the attention. And the last part for the evaluators in particular, all of you as general whole, it's great if you can emulate the speaker, but I'm going to suggest in particular, if you're going to make a suggestion of something the speaker should do, it's helpful if you actually do it in the evaluation. The one I'll just pick on Paul for the moment, is open with a hook, end with a bang. Then do it and show us how it's done is the best way. Because you had a great suggestion, and there's your opportunity to demonstrate it. When you want to say do more vocal variety, give the example. Specific examples from the speech do wonders. It shows not only that you're listening, but it reminds everyone of the speech better than just saying what they did. So that's my general evaluation, and I'll please welcome my president to take care of the club business. Did the schedule get passed around? It's going around. We didn't know.
Yeah, I'm going to need it back over this way in about 30 seconds. I'd like to call Rich, as well as Jeff, as well as Alexandra up here real quick, please. And I'm going to ask the males to be first. I would like to present you, Jeff, with your Icebreaker ribbon. You did a phenomenal job. Thank you. Rich, I would also like to present to you with a very impressive Icebreaker speech. And again, it's one of those speeches that we will never forget. So thank you very much. Last week, she gave her last speech for her Competent Communicator Manual, and therefore, I present to you your Competent Communicator pin. Thank you. All different levels of achievement and all just as wonderful. Thank you so much. Schedule next. We have August 19th. I will be Toastmaster. I have not chosen a theme yet, but you will get that through our Easy Speak. For those guests, we communicate and organize our speeches through an online hub, so once you're a member, you get access to that. But in the meantime, and we'll give you a chance to speak, but we will continue to give you an agenda every week that'll give you an up-to-date and an overview of the organization of the meeting. Table Topics Master, Susanna?
I'm tentative. My
Tentative?
client has thrown me completely off, so I'm not sure. I'll know within the next few days.
Okay, when you find out if it's a no, do you mind sending an email to everyone to see if you can get a replacement? Okay.
What am I doing?
Well, you're general evaluator. He wants double duty, that's not going to quite work. And I'll counter Jeff, but Jeff is leaving us, right? Okay, so I need a counter. Who wants to be counter?
Let us know
Carrie?
who's doing what first.
Okay, let me have a pen. Let me use your pen. Okay, so Carrie. Pat's not here. Grammarian, I need a grammarian. Jorge? You're voluntold.
Okay.
Timer, Rich, can you be our timer? All you have to do is have an iPhone. Can you do that? Or some kind of stopwatch? And I'm sure you have plenty of those.
Yes.
All right, and I think that pretty much sums it. Anything else we'll send through email, but you'll be hearing from me. Speakers. Here they are. Mike Hughes, speaker 1. James Bishop, speaker 2. Diane, speaker 3. And she's already confirmed.
Who's Toastmaster?
She is.
Erika.
And or the evaluator.
Okay, evaluator. Alexandra Balda. I'm still getting used to this form. It's a new form. Alexandra Balda, evaluator 1. Stephen Morgan, evaluator 2. Thank you for confirming. Stephany Bonnie Byrne, evaluator 3. Any other questions regarding that? No. Okay, our guest, I'd like to ask
No, it's Susanna.
Susanna, tentative backup. She will email for a backup if she can't fulfill her role. I'd like to invite our guest to stand up for me. Tell us what you thought of the meeting and why you're here, how you got here.
Well, Ernst invited me. I work with him, and he just wanted me to come out, and he wanted me to get involved in different things, and this is one of the things he does. So
Fantastic.
I came out, and I really enjoyed myself. I was pleasantly surprised that all the speeches were great, and this is something I'm going to be considering.
Thank you. Well, I hate that you invited an employee and I had to evaluate you. That's horrible. Suzanne, that's a fantastic leader right there. Suzanne? Suzanne.
Yeah. Well, I've been interested in increasing my public speaking, so I was looking online and then I found this. This is perfect because I work right down the street. So, and I enjoyed all the speeches and, everybody's so welcoming here. So I think I'll be back.
Fantastic. After you went online, did you find us through? Did you just use Google or did you use, there's a couple different areas that we advertise.
Well, I just put in Toastmasters because I had heard of it, and I was like, maybe there's one to make merry. And then I saw the article also. You guys